Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to get started. Welcome to our Census Information Center topic for the month of April. We are here with the Du Bois Brunn Center. Just a quick background. The Du Bois Brunn Center is an academic think tank of scholar activists and advocates dedicated to forging solutions to the challenges confronting people of color living within urban communities. Our Census Information Center provides local and community access, training, and technical assistance on census data for research, planning, and decision making for various communities. In today's discussion, our subject matter experts will provide insightful information exploring workforce trends. Our attendees will learn how to use LEHD data tools to uncover meaningful trends in employment, retention, and regional dynamics. With that, I would like to introduce our subject matter expert, Ms. Joli Golden.
Hi, LaToya. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm pleased today. I've been liaising with the Bunch Du Bois Center at Medgar Evers for a few months now, and we're pleased to present a monthly series of webinars. The next one, just so you know, will take place on May 21st, and will focus on Census Business Builder and some of our economic data. I'm pleased today that Earlene Dowell, who is an outreach specialist in the Economic Management Division, is here with us, and she will share with you tracking workforce pathways, educator exits, and graduate entries, and some of our exciting longitudinal employer household dynamics, data, and tools. Over to you, Earlene.
Thank you so much, Jolie. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me here today to highlight a couple of the LEHD data tools and their data products. Today, we will be focusing on the educator exits and graduate entries through our quarterly workforce indicators, or QWI, and our post-secondary employment outcomes, or PSEO datasets, which has data of graduate earnings. A little bit about myself. My name is Earlene, and I've been lucky enough to have been at the Census Bureau since 2010. Initially, I was brought on to be in the Public Information Office as a media specialist for a short time. And then after the 2010 decennial died down, I went ahead and have been with LEHD ever since. LEHD products are different from other census data in the fact that our data comes from our local employment dynamics, or LED partnership, which is a voluntary federal-state partnership. The LEHD program houses the LEHD products since the 1990s. The program has explored the interactions between workers and firms by linking employer and household data. Under the partnerships, states send their administrative data, which include the unemployment insurance wage records, or the UI records, and the quarterly Census of Employment and Wages, or QCEW data, which is then combined with censuses and surveys to create this dynamic information on workers to produce public use data products, as well as microdata for research. The UI records give us job data, the QCEW gives us firm data, and our person data comes from censuses and surveys. The map to the right shows our active state partners in blue. LEHD has 3 main data sets and 2 experimental data sets. Each data set has an application for easy access. Each data set, along with each data tool, is unique in its own way. If you are curious about employment, hires, separations, turnovers, and earnings, you would look at the quarterly workforce indicators utilizing the QWI Explorer, the LED extraction tool, or Census API. If you want to look at statistics on job mobility across state boundaries or industries, transitions between jobs by timing and firm or worker characteristics, or earning changes due to job changes, you would use our job-to-job or J2J flows data using the J2J Explorer and now in our LED extraction tool. And if you want to look at employment for detailed and customized geography, you would look at the loads data using the On the Map or On the Map for Emergency Management data tools and in the LED extraction tool. As mentioned on the previous slide, you can find the loads data also on the map for emergency management, but you can also find the American Community Survey and 2020 decennial data sets in this data tool in order to analyze potential impact on jobs and workforce during a natural disaster. One of our experimental data sets is the Post-Secondary Employment Outcomes, or PSEO. This experimental data set reports earnings by institution, degree field, degree level, and graduation cohort for 1, 5, and 10 years after graduation, and is accessible through the PSEO Explorer and Census API. The current release now includes data on 952 institutions, which covers more than 35% of all college graduates in the U.S. PSEO is a data product generated by linking graduate transcripts records to LEHD data on graduate of participating post-secondary institutions in the U.S. And another experimental data set is the Veteran Employment Outcomes, or VEO. VEO initially covered labor market outcomes for the U.S. Army veterans, but has since been updated to expand coverage to also include data on Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard veterans discharged between 2002 and 2021. These data show earnings and employment outcomes of more than 2.8 million formerly enlisted service members. Coverage includes labor market outcomes 1, 5, and 10 years after discharge by military occupation, rank, demographics, industry, and geography of employment. Finally, we have the LED extraction tool. This data tool provides easy access to the raw data, and the products includes QWI, J2J, and loads dataset. In addition to the data tools, raw data downloads are available along with LEHD microdata for approved projects through our secure census research data centers. So based on a study from Brown University, we will look at how they use the LEHD quarterly workforce indicators to track teacher turnovers. We actually conducted a webinar on this study with one of the researchers named here yesterday. And when that's available, I can send it to Joli for her to send it to you. And starting with the QWI Explorer, it has 32 indicators. It has maps, line charts, and bar charts, and extensive tables, all which are interactive. You can download, export, and upload links to company websites or social media. We have newly released data all the way down to the 5- and 6-digit NAICS, and the timeliness of the data is like no other at Census. For most states, we have data as current as 2025 Q2. We also have data that includes state and local government employment, as well as the private sector. First, let's look at the employment count in education by state. On this slide, when looking at the map, you can see the two predominantly darker shades of blue states are New York and California. The map shows a legend. The darker the state, the more educators are in that state. The table to the right gives you the number of educators, with New York ranking the highest with 411,617. I also want to make note that it's not just educators, it's everybody in that industry. Then we have part of the study was to look at turnovers by region. So by changing the indicator to turnovers, we can see on this map that North Dakota has the highest turnover and New York ranks 25th highest turnover in the nation. Again, when looking at the map, the darker the color, the higher the turnover. And throughout the country, there are a lot of turnovers except for Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, and Connecticut. The link on the bottom of the screens will take you to the exact analysis in this QWI Explorer. And then we can look at earnings. So now let's look at earnings in education by state. On this slide, Maryland ranks first, earning $9,094 a month, followed by New Hampshire and Connecticut, which might be the reason for these states' turnovers being low. However, New York ranks fourth and earns about $116 less than Connecticut. We can also look at educational attainment. So we can also use the data tool to look at turnover by educational attainment in the United States. This shows that those who have bachelor's degrees or advanced degrees are less likely to have turnovers, most likely because they are earning more. And then let's go down to the county level and look at the employment count in education in New York, with King County coming in second, but almost 100K less than New York. And then looking at the earnings in education by county, we can see Kings County ranks at 17. And that's right above Putnam right above Essex and right below Putnam. And here we can see Kings County ranks 29th in turnover rates, above Erie and below Ulster. But when we go live, you'll be able to see that they all kind of rank the same. And then the tool allows you to look at yearly averages of employment count for Kings County. So over the past 10 years, where the county gained about 10,000 in jobs. So you can see from 2013 all the way to 2023, the numbers increased. And then we have recently released is the 5 to 6 digit NAICS in the QWI. Here we can see the number of employment counts in education in New York. The one caveat is that you can only look at the 6-digit by state due to confidentiality protection. And then we can also look at the earnings by 6-digit NAICS in New York. And for under education, we can see that what's interesting is the industries. This is not the right one. I'm so sorry. The one, okay, I already did that. Where are we? 17? Yeah, okay. I apologize. Oh, yes. Okay. So sorry. Now I see it. So what's interesting in the industries, females earn more. The industries that females earn more than men are apprenticeship and flight training. So that's kind of interesting. And then we can also look at other characteristics like race, ethnicity, and education. And since we are talking about entrances, here are the numbers of new hires for the 6-digit NAICS in education in New York, with colleges, universities, and professional schools at the top with 18,565. So let's go live to look at all of these different examples. So the best way to find us is if you bookmark lehd.ces.census.gov, or you can go ahead and Google QWI Explorer, and that'll take you to us as well. The browsers that we suggest that you use are Firefox and Chrome, because there's so much graphics and data to upload. It works better with these instead. So I will go ahead and click on QWI Explorer. And if you have questions, it's okay for you to go ahead and ask me, since it's just the 4 of us right now. So I'll click on QWI Explorer. And it puts us directly into New York, but I just want to kind of show you some of the features it has. So here we can see geography level, we can see New York, you can look at all the other states, and then we can look at the national count. So we'll start with national. Then the indicators, we have the employment count, and then we have, you can look at employment change. So we have the separation and the turnovers. You can look at the firm and jobs, firm and job counts, and then you can look at the earnings as well. And then here you can get the data. So you can download an Excel sheet, zip, and you can also do a PNG or a SVG for the chart and the map. And then you can share this. So I think we need to change the tweet to X instead, but you can share it on X and Facebook, and then you can actually just kind of copy it and then just share it in an email if you want. And then you can also get the report. So if I click on that, it just kind of gives me a PDF of what the screen looks like. Okay, so we'll close out of that. Here under the filter aggregation, anything that's in blue, you can change. So we could change the geography here. Sorry, whenever I'm not at my desk, I can't see my whole screen. You can also change the industries. You can put in a certain industry if you'd like. We can do firm ownership, whether it's firm age or firm size, all private or all ownerships. And then worker characteristics. So we can see different characteristics such as sex and age. So here I'm going to go ahead and change the industry to education. Now click OK. I think I work better without my glasses. That's so weird. And then x-axis, I'm going to change it to state. And then it'll give you a conflict. So it's telling you that you can't do a line chart with the states. And then instead, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this out because I'm going to change the group to no group. So once I do that, the map pops up and you can see that California and New York are the top. And then the thing about this is that it's probably a different quarter than I had in the example. But if you double click in this area, you will see in descending order that New York is first with 399,993 employees, and then California follows that, and so on. We can also change it to look at the turnovers. So if I click on turnover, it tells me that there's a conflict. So I'll have to go over here and play around with whatever I had in the other one. And then click OK. Let's see if that's it. Yep. Okay. So it's 2024 quarter four that we have data for everybody. And then North Dakota being the top. I think that's what it was initially. So North Dakota having the most turnovers. And again, the darker the colors, the more the turnovers. And how we highlighted that Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Maine is a little light, and then Connecticut. So then we can turn this into earnings. And then again, I'll double click on the all. And you can see we have data for Puerto Rico as well. So this one is saying New Hampshire is tops for earnings. Let me see. I think earlier. Let's see how that goes. It was Maryland. So in the example, it was Maryland. So I just have to play around with the quarters compared to when I actually made the PowerPoint. And then we can go as far down. So I'm going to change the geography level and I'm going to make it to New York. And now we can see that it's New York and it has counties. And then again, we can do the same things. We can look at the earning. We'll start with earnings since it's on there. And then we'll double click with New York being 8,243 a month, Wayne, New York being 7,220. And then we can just keep scrolling down until we see Kings County. And it's right above, again, Putnam. I mean, right below Putnam and above Essex. And you can see the earnings for those counties. And then we can also look at the turnovers again. And that tells me a conflict, so it's probably not 2025 quarter one. We'll try 2025 quarter four. And click OK. And now we can see a pretty map. And double click again. So that's the bottom. That's alphabetical. And this is the turnover. So Washington this is the quarter 2025 quarter four being at the top and scrolling down to find Kings. And we can see Kings, New York at 0.092 and 0.083. So if you're using the Excel sheet, you can go ahead and put in, number them in descending order so that you can see what number it ranks at. And then I think we'll do the employment count again. And then we can see it automatically comes up where there's 128,567 in educational services in New York. And then ranking second is Kings County with 34,482. So that's almost 100,000 or more. Well, 100,000, almost 100,000 difference in employment count. And then our latest thing that we have added, and as I mentioned earlier, that we can only do it by state, but we can look at the NAICS 6-digit. And I'll continue to that. And then instead of looking at everybody, we just want to look at the educational. So I'm going to check none. I'm going to uncheck all NAICS. I'm going to type in 6-1. And then I'll go ahead and click on check all. And OK. And so we can see again that colleges, universities, and professional schools are at the top of the list. And the numbers seem to be changing all the time. So we're looking at 2023, what is that? Oh, 2024, quarter four. But this is actually the earnings. No, it's the employment count. And then we can look again at the turnovers. And then double click on it. So it looks like business and secretarial schools are the ones that have the most turnover in New York during 2024 quarter four. We can also look at the hires. So we can look at the hires new. And then you can see that, again, college, universities, and professional schools have the most new hires, followed by the elementary and secondary. And then what we did in one of the examples, we clicked on Earn S. And then we can also look at it by sex. So we can compare. And if I double click on the female, it shows that these are the top earnings for both male and female. No, that's not right. Oh, it's actually just the top earnings for female. But you can see the difference between the earnings. And then what I had pointed out earlier is that apprenticeship training where females are earning more, and then flight. Oh, nope. Nope, they took over. So anyway, apprenticeship is pretty cool. And we can actually look at also race. So we can see what the earnings are by these 6-digit NAICS. And then you can look at it by race. So computer training being top for white alone. Professional and management development training for Black and African American. American Indian or Alaska Native alone is the same. Asian alone is computer training. And Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander is also professional and management development training. But you can see all of the different bars and make that out. Okay. Any questions? Do you like it? Is it? Okay, good. All right, so we'll go back to the PowerPoint and I'll show you the other data tool. So now we're looking at the PSEO, and this is a coverage map of PSEO. And as mentioned earlier, the current release includes data on 952 institutions. So this map shows participating states in blue. The darker the blue, the more graduate coverage we have for that state. And you can also see that there are 4 states that are yellow. So they're pending data and going to be entered soon. And then I've provided the link for you to be able to look at the coverage for each state. So if you go to this link, it actually gives you what the coverage is. So this is Medgar Evers College, and we're looking at all instructional programs and then education. So the first column is graduates after 1 year, what their earnings are. So if they're going into education, they are earning 52,715. If they're after 5 years, it's 74,077. And then after 10 years, they're earning 92,587. And then in this example, this is our PSEO flows. And it also allows you to look at the flows such as what industries are they going into if they're getting an educational degree. And also if you're retaining your students, are they staying in New York or are they moving on to other areas? So according to this, they go into educational services, healthcare, and public administration are the top 3, and 87% of them stay in New York. So let's go live to look at this one. So if you're still at the LEHD, if you have that tab open, you can go ahead and click on PSEO, Explore. And then it comes up, and then you can look at all these different states. So we have Colorado, Massachusetts, and so on and so on. So I will just go ahead and click on New York. And then you can look at all institutions or just the one that you want. So I will scroll down so I can see it. And you can actually just type in ME, and then it kind of comes up. So now we're just looking at business management and related support services. And we're looking at those that are earning bachelor's degrees. You can look at certificates, associates, and baccalaureates. Or if it were education, you can also look at PhDs and different doctorals. You can look at it as time or percentage. And then we have those cohorts that are 25%, 50%, or 75%. So this is just kind of saying the level of achievement. The smarter they are is 75%. And then we are currently looking in general. Let me kind of close this up a little so you can see the whole picture. But if I click on this detailed button, it gives me all the other detailed degree programs that are under business management. So I am going to go ahead and go back to the general. And I'm going to go ahead and just click on all instructions, unclick this, and click on education. So again, if I did this, it gives me all of the different breakdowns for what might be under education. So not too many. And then, of course, you can look at, again, if it has a degree, like a PhD of some sort. So we will keep this, and then we will look at the flows. So again, we can see all the different earnings, 51, 70,000, 88,000, and 94,000 over here for 10 years. But we can look at the flows, and then it just kind of jumps back to education. And if I click on percentages so that we can look at it differently. So it's easier to look at the shares versus the numbers, but we can see that 43% go from education, go into education, and then public administration, then healthcare and social assistance. But this is those that are 1 year. If we look at, 5 years, but if we look at 1 year, it changes just a little bit, but not too much. And then 10 years, again, still everybody that gets an education degree stays, majority of them stay in education. So that's good. Then we can look at where are they going. So if I clicked on Geo here underneath on the left-hand side, it tells us that those in education are staying in New York. Some of them are going down to whatever those are. I can't really see it, but I hope you can. But you can see the flow goes, some of them go down here. And then public administration, same thing. A lot of them stay in New York. And then healthcare. So this is 84%, and this is after 5 years. And then this is after 10 years. So the number goes down after 10 years, that more people kind of move out. And then 1 year is 87, stays kind of close to the 1 and 5 years are close. All right, so I think that's all that can do, but let me just make sure I show you. If you need anything, it has documentation where you can help yourself. You can export the reports as well. And then I also provided, before I provide you the resources, we are having a workshop that I'd love to invite you all to on May 12th through 13th. It's hybrid. And so you can just kind of log on around between 12 and 5. And Ellen Zentner, she's from Morgan Stanley. She will be our guest speaker, our keynote speaker. And then throughout the 2 days, it'll just be people and how they are using the data to help them study, do research. For example, somebody is using the PSEO and the VEO, and it's called From Boots to Books. So that was kind of interesting. And then this is my contact. I did not give you resources. I will have to send you some resources so that you have it. But just to let you know, if we go to the QWI Explorer and you look under the help and documentation, on the right-hand side, it gives you tutorials that will walk you through all of the different examples that we did today. So that
Earlene,
is, yes, ma'am.
thank you. Thank you so much. And this was incredibly informative. I'm glad that it's been recorded and will be posted online. You can reach Earlene directly at the contact information that she's sharing here. And we appreciate your localizing the presentation, Earlene. It's helpful. It's helpful, I'm sure, for people who are watching the webinar, and also for me personally, as I work with a lot of New York State and local New York City entities. So
it's my pleasure.
Oh, please. Always a pleasure. So thank you very, very much, everyone, for joining us. We will be back with you on May 21st for Census Business Builder with Monica Dukes. And we appreciate your participation and look forward to hopefully hearing from you on how you're using census data. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.